Welcome to the A Monday Moment with Dr. Mal podcast, where each week I, Dr. Mal, share life lessons and motivation to kickstart your Monday. Whether you're starting your day or winding down, join me or me and my future guest for a burst of positivity and a fresh perspective. Let's make Mondays meaningful together. Greetings and happy Monday, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Mallory D. McCoy, and welcome to this week's episode of A Monday Moment with Dr. Mal. As always, may this broadcast bring you what you need in the present moment. May my light exude positivity and kindness, and may my love be extended to all who could use a little extra. Ashe. Let's seize the moment. Today's show is one of a series of shows titled Business Queens of Kansas City. It's Women History Month, all month. And for me, since I moved through life as a Black woman, it's important to me. I'm also an entrepreneur. And I just happen to have a few businesses up my sleeve, including Bell's Garden. The whole mission of Bell's Garden is to support Black girls and Black women. And so I've literally made Black girls and Black women my business. Plus, this podcast primarily streams on the Alive Podcast Network, the first Black-owned, woman-owned podcast network in the whole entire nation. I also support Black-owned, women-owned businesses when I can. So I need y'all to know, in saying all that, I am in deep support of Black-owned, women-owned entrepreneurship and businesses. So I am dedicating my March shows to highlighting Black-owned, women-owned businesses right here in the Kansas City metro area. The women I've interviewed for this series are powerhouses and incredible businesswomen and true business queens. And I hope that you enjoyed the conversation that I had with Stephanie last week. And I know that you'll enjoy the conversation that I have today. I can't wait for you to hear our interview. But before I get into it, you know I love me a good definition, and I'm team hashtag facts over feelings. So let's get into it. Today we're talking about the fitness industry. And you should know the global fitness industry is huge, raking in over $100 billion a year. So you can rest assured there's plenty of sweaty money out there. Don't put it in your mouth. I might or might not be a germaphobe. Despite that, about half of those shiny new gyms memberships gather more dust than muscles. You already know. I have avoided going to Planet Fitness for the month of January because I already know all of those people in there who are dedicating their new year to getting right, getting their body right. It's going to phase out. I probably won't go back to the gym because it's nice outside, but anytime I want to go in there and get a muscle workout, I know I got to wait till it thins out because them New Year's resolutions, people be up in there. Boutique fitness studios, there's a lot of them around here. Think yoga and spinning mashups are the modern darlings. The marketing is so sleek, you almost forget that you're paying twice as much to sweat in a smaller room. Go get the Planet Fitness membership, or better yet, get outside. Online workout and fitness apps have skyrocketed. Apparently, if you can't find the time or energy to drive to a gym, you can definitely do it at home, surrounded by the comforts of your space, your comfy couch. Listen, I love Pilates, but I don't go to a studio to do it. I do it right in the living room. So that big ups to not only the apps, because I have a few apps, big ups to YouTube because you can find some free fitness stuff on there. Every year there is a next big trend, from goat yoga, where goats crawl all over you as you attempt to downward dog. They also have dog yoga, which I think is really cute, and I want to try it one day. To dance cardio fusion routines that sound like a teenager TikTok dream. And because we speak about it during our episode, I do want to bring attention to the fact that Black instructors often remain underrepresented in mainstream fitness spaces. Studies show that white professionals still make up a majority of personal trainers and group fitness leaders. So seeing more Black trainers on magazine covers, digital platforms, and studio rosters is a shift that's ongoing and very much needed. And my guest today is also very much a part of that landscape. Many Black trainers focus on creating inclusive spaces that address cultural nuances, from group workouts tailored to natural hair considerations to classes that celebrate hip hop and Afrobeats. This sense of community and understanding helps boost participation and retention because it's never just about exercise, it's about feeling seen and valued. We actually have some new classes popping up in KC that are legit, and I certainly want to attend, and they certainly are for the culture. So I'm excited about that. But Black people, we got to do better about getting our workout. Like we got to do better about getting in shape. We just do. Black entrepreneurs in the fitness sphere are on the rise. They're not just filling a void, they are expanding the entire industry, offering new programs that blend wellness, mental health, and body positivity, including services like assisted stretching. I say that loud because that's who I'm talking to today. That's who I'm going to be talking to today. So, bottom line, Black fitness instructors have been serving looks, breaking barriers, and elevating the game for decades. Their impact is not only felt by individuals they train, but by the entire fitness community. So, let's get out, let's support them, let's celebrate them, and let's make sure their voices and workouts keep reaching new heights. All guest podcasts are titled What They Want You to Know, and my intention is to dive deep into the minds of experts, thought leaders, and fascinating individuals to uncover the one thing they truly want you to know about their area of expertise. I intend to unapologetically and unequivocally center the voices of people from powerful groups targeted by oppression. However, if there are other community members who can interject on the topic, they'll be invited to the cookout too. This week's guest is Jessica Ward Cannon, a certified mobility specialist and personal trainer with over a decade of experience in the fitness industry. A former dancer and athlete, she specializes in injury prevention, flexibility, and mobility training, helping clients move safely and effectively. With a background in sociology and psychology from UNC Charlotte, Jessica combines her expertise in movement with a deep understanding of human behavior. Now based in Kansas City, she is passionate about improving quality of life through stretch therapy and mobility coaching. Just to let y'all know, I have certainly been stretched by Jessica at the Lotus Room here in KC, and it was everything that I needed. And she actually offers free 30-minute stretch sessions, consultations on her website. There's no reason to not take advantage of this because you're going to get the first one for free and you're going to want to go back because it just feels good. We talk about that in the episode. You already know our whole conversation was incredible, and I can't wait for you to listen because we started in fitness, but we got to talk about some real life stuff. So grab a notebook and get ready to take some notes. Here's what we talked about. Welcome to the podcast, Jessica. I'm so glad to have you here. Before I get formally started and start asking you questions, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, my name is Jessica Ward Cannon. I am a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and owner of a mobility and stretch facility here in Kansas City. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, owner. I love we love black. Look, the business queens of Kansas City, absolutely. We are business owners, and I love that you own a business. And your business, like you said, is very specific. Mobility specialist. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what I focus on at my business is really to help people move better overall. Whether it's, you're an avid gym goer or you sit at a desk all day and you just need to stretch or, you don't have much experience stretching on your own or you really don't know the steps or how to do it on your own. And, just again, achieving better movement, helping people age gracefully because I tell people you don't have to be in pain, you don't have to be uncomfortable in your body. And so That's what we focus on. Again, whether that's just like recovery from the gym, or maybe you had a surgery or an injury years ago, and you're just needing that facilitation to get back to where you were pre-surgery, pre-injury. I just kind of help you along, you know. So yeah.
Yes. And you've been actually in the fitness industry for over a decade. Can you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about your journey? You are a dancer,
Yeah.
you're an athlete, tell us all the things.
Yeah, so I mean, just going all the way back to the beginning, I've always been an athlete. I competitive cheered, danced when I was younger. I swam, I ran track. And then honestly, when I went to college, I was super just focused on classes and I was working full time. So I wasn't as active as I was in my younger years when I was like in grade school. So I noticed changes in my body and notice like, hey, Jessica, you're not 15, 16, 17 anymore. At that time, I became a trainer at 24. It's like you're getting older, and I felt it. And then I also noticed how I would be in these group classes or training people. It's great, they would show up to the gym and they would actually work out and get the work in, but it was the recovery aspect. And so they were coming with knee braces and shoulder braces, and I hurt this and I hurt that. So I really wanted to get into a space where I could help people on their fitness journeys have longevity in those fitness spaces. You can't work out and meet your goals if you're hurt. So I kind of wanted to go on the back end.
No, this is 100% real and
Yeah.
100% true.
Yeah.
I just watched a documentary on Netflix called The Starting Five,
Mm-hmm.
and it was unlikely for me to want to watch that because I'm not really into basketball like that. So it was something that was on TV, and my partner wanted to watch it. So we watched it together, and that's one of the things I was most enlightened about. And a lot of what they talked about on the documentary was the recovery process, and
Yeah.
they have LeBron James on that documentary, and he is
He
like a post.
invests in a recovery team, baby, and he does it all cryo, stretching, he does it all. And I watched that too, and I noticed how much he really, put into his recovery, and it makes sense. And that's why he's been in the league since he was 18. That man's almost 50 now. So it makes a difference.
Which is wild to me because, Jessica, can I just tell you? Because in preparation of this podcast, I did sign up for the Lotus Room. That's the name of the business here in Kansas City. I signed up for a free stretch session, and I went and got stretched out, and I was sore at first because I was not. I thought I was doing. Listen, I told you I take Pilates, so I do Pilates. I don't take it. I do it at home. And I
Right.
thought I was and I thought I was being intentional about my mobility. But then when I got into office with you and you stretched me, that felt different.
It is different, and I tell people, please continue your yoga and Pilates. Please continue to do the things on your own because that's maintenance. But with the one-on-one stretch that I would do, you're just able to achieve a lot more muscle access, a deeper stretch with someone there facilitating it for you. You're laying on this comfortable bed. You don't have to do nothing but lay back and breathe. You don't have to worry about stabilizing the rest of your body, and we can really target your muscles. So it's just a little deeper. And the soreness, you're introducing something new to your body, and it has to get used to it. And it's not a terrible soreness. It's just like, oh, I noticed that now. But once that dissipates, you feel so good after, and you feel that new space in your body. It's so worth it.
Well, and what really I noticed is that it helped to allow for my energy to flow different through my body because I had that stretch that day. And I cannot wait to get into the financial space
Come on
to be
back.
able to make a part of my routine. I'm going to. I'm not waiting. I'm going to make it an intentional thing. And one thing I'd like to highlight for sure, because I'm back up and go to because what you said about stretching. I need to go back to that. But one thing I want to highlight how important you are to the space as a Black woman, because oftentimes we are in these spaces of wellness and we don't see us. In
Exactly.
fact, not even that we don't see us, is that we don't see people helping to heal us in that way. So then subconsciously we don't connect that that is also something that's beneficial to me.
Exactly. First of all, I got into fitness very young. I would say early 20s is young for a fitness instructor. Even if they are black, they typically a little bit older. So navigating that and tying into what you do, being a black woman in predominantly white spaces. That has been something that I've had to really intentionally navigate, because it's more than just getting up in the front of the classroom and doing whatever you're doing, or teaching. It's doing that while connecting with people that sometimes they may judge you, they, based on age or race or whatever. So while I'm sharing my knowledge that I've taken the time to acquire, I have to step around your preconceived notions about me.
I was thinking about that because that connects to something else I'm going to be doing next week for my business. But I was thinking about implicit bias and how that plays into how we react to people. And if we're not conscious of our implicit biases, we could be receiving what the person is saying to us, but then there's always this block that is just because we haven't done the work to dismantle those
Right.
implicit biases, then they will always show up. And like you, as a Black woman, not only are you 24, you're also showing up as Black, and you're also showing up as woman who's also in a wellness space where we're not at,
Right.
where we should be predominantly, but we're not. So you have all of these factors. That's just the basics. I'm sure there's other factors too that are showing up in the space with you. We privately talked about it, but it's no surprise that I grew up in a predominantly white space. My work is based on my personal experience, but you also have that experience personally and professionally
Oh
too.
yeah.
So this navigation that we have to do is not new to us. It's
Right.
just put a different face on it
Oh,
and in
correct.
a different space.
And it's crazy because I've had experience with this. It's almost as if I've been molded for this since I was a kid. I grew up in Kings Mountain, North Carolina, tiny, predominantly white country town, one high school at the time, one to two maybe grocery stores, no mall, no nothing. So very, very southern. And while there were black people in the space, I actually attended a private school in the next city over where I was the only black person in the entire school. So I've been dealing with this. You get what I'm saying? So, constantly having to show up, having to prove yourself, having to do more than what my peers were doing to be respected like my peers. This whole thing has sharpened me. So now at 37, a fresh 37 is 2 weeks ago.
Okay, happy
Now,
birthday, Black.
thank you. Now at 37, it rolls off my back. It's just like I've seen this before, I've done this before. It doesn't bother me. Whereas like 10 years ago when I started, I would be so offended. I would cry. I would want to give up. I'd want to. But now it's different now.
Well, and it's different because you have nothing to prove because you are amazing. You know, show up in a space and do what it do, so you don't have nothing to prove. Like you're
Well,
doing it. So
it takes maturity to get to that place. I feel like God's spirit, whatever you believe in, higher being, was like, look, there are things I need you to do. And so I need to sharpen you right now. So get them emotions together, get those mental blocks out, and do the inner work so that you can do my work.
do the inner work so you can do my work. You better
Period.
quote some. Yes, I love that. Well, now that you've mentioned it, so how did you get to Kansas City from North Carolina?
So a couple years ago, and this is actually a recent transition, I was working for the corporate office of a dance fitness company based out in Washington State. And sometimes I would travel around the country to like do master classes and train instructors to be dance fitness instructors. And I was asked to come to Kansas City. I had never been to the Midwest before. I really didn't know what to expect. And baby came out here one time and met my husband. I met him at the gym. And 6 months later, I moved to Kansas City. I packed my car down. Whatever could not fit in my little Mazda 3 didn't come. So I didn't have a bed. I threw everything out, mostly just my clothes, my shoes, and then I drove out here.
What
And
you want to do for love, sugar. Listen, what we won't do for love. Love's everywhere. You got.
everybody thought I was crazy. I quit my good job that I liked. My family was like, what? And a year to the day I met him, we got married.
That's beautiful. That
Yeah,
really is beautiful. And when you know, you know, and
yeah,
you knew, and you
right.
followed it. And actually, I'm interviewing you, but he is your business partner,
Yes,
and
yes.
so you stretch together.
We do, yeah. He stretches as well. I brought him on because it's like this whole thing. It's so crazy because I did not mean to start the Lotus Room. I did not mean to do that. It happened, and when it happened, it hit the ground running, and there was such a demand. People needed it. They wanted it. When they came, they would tell their friends, and their friends would tell someone else, and it's like strictly word of mouth. And I was like, I need some help. Like, I can't do this on my own. And so my husband, he's a personal trainer. He's actually owned gyms back in pre-pandemic. Back in Atlanta, he owned 3 gyms, and he's been in the game for about 20 years himself. And so this was just an extension of what he already does. And I brought him on, and he has clients too. And it's been up from there.
So you telling me this was started by accident?
It was started by pure accident. Girl, to give you the quick story of it, we had gone into a partnership with this gym in Waldo, and the original owner wanted to bring us on because she had been in business for a year and she really wasn't seeing her membership grow. She just wasn't turning a profit. She was losing money. And, I met her, through, group fitness and dance fitness and things like that. I was doing a couple classes, and me and her got to talking one day, and I was like, you know what, my husband's owned gyms before. He could come in here and turn this thing around, no problem. So we signed a contract to build the membership, and after a year, a chance to buy. So, we with the option to buy. So, we're there about 2, 3 months. At this time, my husband was already there. I was transitioning out of Stretch Lab, downtown Kansas City. He was already there, and I came over. I think I was there 2 months, and she called us in on a Sunday and was like, I want to go a different route. I don't want to do this anymore. Mind you, I had walked away from full time employment. You know, it was our thing. This is what we were doing. And so that happened on a Sunday. And I had already had stretch clients. And I was like, well, I just need somewhere to stretch. I'm so solution oriented. I can't sit in the funk of, oh, this didn't work out. That happened on a Sunday. I had the lease for this place signed by Tuesday. Like, and it just, I didn't have a business name. I didn't have a business plan. I had 5 clients, and that's generous. I had maybe 3, and people, and a couple that would come to me every once in a while, but I had 3 solid clients. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Well, here's what I heard you say, because there's going to be some business owners that listen to this
Yeah.
and are going to be completely inspired by your story.
Yeah.
First of all, I heard you say that you didn't have the vision completely thought out, but you started anyway. I heard you say that.
Anyway, yes,
Yeah, I heard you say that you didn't know how you were going to do it, but you trusted in a higher being,
yes,
God, whoever
absolutely,
spirit. You
absolutely.
trusted that everything was going to work out because you did the inner work and you found out what your purpose was and you went with that. So
Yes,
whatever your purpose was, it was already going to work out itself because this is what you're intended to do. That's what I heard you say when you said all that.
absolutely, absolutely. I went out. I had never been in a situation that I wasn't assisted out of, no matter how bad it was. And I believe in God. So I say, God has seen me through so many things and he has yet to fail me. And I said, guess what? He won't fail me this time either. And I do. I have blind faith. Anytime something bad happens, and my husband tells me this all the time. He was like, "You're always so calm when things happen." I'm like, something better is coming. Period.
The amount of chills that I'm getting on my body as you're saying your testimony is unreal because this is exactly what I know that my soul needed to hear, but also I know that other people who will be chiming in will also need to hear
Yeah.
about the like because it really is that easy.
Yes.
It really is.
Essentially, it's easier said than done. It sounds like a simple concept, but it is scary to let go. And I had always had an entrepreneurial, like, I wanted to do it, but I always found a way to hold on to my safety net, whether that was a job, in the past, could have been a man, whatever, you know. But to not have a safety net, I didn't have nothing to lose. This is it. She already backed out on the contract. Like, I already don't have any income. I have nothing else to lose. I didn't have a safety net, and my back was against the wall.
Jessica, I tell you, this story is gonna change someone's life
Yeah.
because even though I'm sure that you had all the here you are putting on a bold face saying, "Hey, here I am stepping out on blind faith," but it would be unhuman for you to not have all the other stuff that comes with it,
Oh
the
yeah.
fear, the anxiety, all those things. That still is a tape that plays, but once you come into balance and the tape of fear and anxiety becomes is softer than the here we this is what I'm supposed to do and I already know what's gonna happen, so what we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Once this becomes louder, then people are able to move forward.
And the thing is, it's like the fear and anxiety. It's like what we got to break that down. What am I scared of? Okay, I'm gonna fail. Okay, are you scared of what people will say when you fail? Or are you scared, like, what are you scared? I identify that and play it out in your head. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is I get out here and fall on my face and this is not successful. But you're still here and you have a chance to restart. It's not the end of the world. It's just going back to the drawing board. I've failed so many times up until this point. I have failed. I've slept on couches. I've gotten cars repossessed. I've flunked out of college twice before I, graduated eventually. I've failed so many times that I'm not even scared anymore. Yeah.
That just
Yeah.
I'm telling you, girl, can't nobody take me this spiritual high horse that I'm on. You better preach to the people. And I literally I'm like,
I've
this
failed so
this
many
is
times, Miss Dr. Mile.
people need to hear that. People
Yeah.
need to hear that. Even myself.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking to high schoolers today, as I told you, Bell's Garden made our debut today. Um, and one of the girls was talking about you because our lesson was about confidence. And one of the girls was talking about how she intentionally changes herself to be in spaces that make her feel uncomfortable so that it's not that she's has an end game of I'm going to be comfortable in this space, but at least I tried to be
Yes.
confident in this space.
Exposure.
Yeah, she's exposing herself to uncomfortable situations. And these kids nowadays, they're much more emotionally equipped, I would say, and much more emotionally mature than we were because they have the internet constantly feeding them different parts of people's soul. I mean, they're exposed to much more than what we were. And some people think that that's negative, but I mean, I've had some conversations with you talking about ageism. I've had some conversations with sixth graders that I know I haven't had with adults,
All
and I'm
right.
like, and it's
These kids
and
have a boldness now. And like you said, depending on who you speak with, they're gonna maybe think it's negative, but I think it's brave. I think it's courageous, and that's how you get things done.
facts on facts. I couldn't agree more. So I said I was gonna run it back. Not that I played any sports or anything, because I was a band nerd and a choir nerd, but
I love that.
uh talking about these stretches. Okay, pick me. I am 40 with some snap, crackles, and pops that I was like, hey, my body wasn't doing this before. So anybody who's thinking about just starting stretching, maybe they haven't been intentional about focusing on stretching. What is a stretch that you would give advice to someone that needs to do it like every day? What's one of those?
Listen, it sounds simple, but you could actually do this in your bed, like when you wake up. Just crawl up into a ball, just pull your knees into your chest and make a human ball. That will unlock your whole posterior chain, the back side of your body, your neck, your back, your glutes, your hamstrings, like and it's kind of like a self-love type thing because you're just kind of wrapped up in yourself too, and it's just energetically it just feels good to do that. So I would tell anybody, if you're going to start there. And also the happy baby one, where you again, you can still do this in the bed and kind of bring your knees up and grab your big toes with your peace fingers, and that'll help to open up your hips, which we store a lot of stress and emotion, especially as women, in our hips. And that's where the tightness comes from, especially if you sit at a desk all day or you're not really as mobile as you like to be. Those are the two stretches I'm like,
Get that done every day. Do that every day.
every day.
I love that. What's your favorite stretch? What do
Oh my
you like to do?
goodness. I love a good spinal twist, where you just kind of
Mm.
like, rotations. Not only does it feel great and open up pathways in your body, but it's also detoxifying. When you stretch, you're releasing toxins in your body. So a nice spinal stretch is really good for me. It's my favorite.
Wow.
Hmm.
And if you weren't doing fitness, what do you think you would be doing?
If I didn't do fitness, I think that I would want to be a psychologist or something where I speak to people. I have a degree in sociology and psychology, so I'm very fascinated by the human mind and, really every aspect, physically, spiritually, mentally. I'm just fascinated by humans and how we tick and. So I would still do something where I'm connected to people and helping them through their things.
We align in that way because I'm certainly attracted to healing
Yeah.
people, and in this particular life, I know because through astrology, I've learned that my life purpose here is to heal through my own lived experience, which is wild to me, but that's what I choose. I try to embody as through this medium and just showing up in spaces as my authentic self. So I love that you and I both can know and live in because once what like if it's supposed to be for you, it will be for you.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
obviously this business has been for you, and obviously me connecting with people is what's going to be for me because then it's easy. You're not fighting anything.
Right.
Life flows. It just goes. And so once you find your purpose and you move in that, it shouldn't feel like, there's any resistance because it's what's supposed to
Exactly.
happen.
And the thing is, it's
Um,
like I'm like that too. I want things to flow. If there's any resistance, I'm like, this ain't for me. And that's not to say, oh, you don't get in spaces and work hard, and things are going to be challenging at times. But when something is just the energy is just going against you, that's not for you. Let's switch lanes.
so the question that I ask all my guests, actually there's two. The first one is we talked about a lot, and it doesn't have to be connected to even what we talked about, but what's one thing you want us to know?
I really want people to know, and this is going to sound more simple than what it is, but you really can do anything that you put your mind to. You really, really can. It's about being purposeful, being intentional, and aligning yourself with what you want. Don't look at where you are right now. Look at what it takes to get to where you want to be. Don't let what it looks like now defeat you and put a frame around your mind. Hey, I want to do that. Okay, these are the steps I need to take. And I don't care how long it takes to get there. I'm gonna get there.
Yes.
But I'm gonna focus on being purposeful and intentional with my time and energy to get me to that place. So yes, you can do anything that you want in this lifetime.
And you said it right on the money, because we use that as a cliche, like you can do anything, but people just take it like, oh well, you can say that, but no, like no, like
Really,
really, you can do
really,
anything. But grab them, shake them up.
right.
Okay, and then my next question is not really a question, it's a prompt. I used to think, but now I know. So fill in the blanks. I used to think, but now I know.
I used to think that I was confined by how I grew up, where I grew up, who my family was, what people expected of me. But now I know that I am the author of my life and my story. And I can
That is
do whatever it is I want to do.
main character energy.
Period.
Period. Okay, what's next for the Lotus Room? I know business is popping. What's
Yes,
next? You all over the TV. You've been in newspapers, girl. You're all over the interwebs. What's
baby.
next?
Man, honestly, what's next is thinking about steps for or expansion and maybe a bigger space, more connections, more pop ups, more community outreach, more partnerships, and taking everything in stride. I'm trying to pace myself. I don't want to, what they say back home in my country city, get too big for my britches.
Never, never too big for our britches.
Right.
Because that's actually someone's way of diminishing what you are or who you are and what you're doing. Because
Absolutely.
I grew up in the country too, and they would, and I spent a lot of my life, because I'm a big personality. I have big energy. I have spent a lot of my life trying to make people feel comfortable around me by
Right.
pushing in myself and
Right.
bringing me down, and I just refuse to not do that anymore. So, girl, get big enough for two britches,
Right.
three, four, five,
Right.
11 britches, because it's about expansion. And just like you said earlier, we are not confined to anything. We're
Right.
not confined to anything. So get in all the britches, buy
Yes.
out all the size jeans in the, you hear me? Get in
Right.
all.
And I had to emphasize, like, again, I didn't have a business plan or nothing, and with the way things are going, so it's just like I want to have the wisdom to make the right decisions at the right time, and I'm just praying on that.
Well, and because you said it is so, because
Period.
that's what faith is, right? You say it is so. How can we get in touch with you? How can people patronize your business? How can we support you? What we
Yeah.
gonna do?
So go on my website, thelotusroomkc.com. You get your first 30-minute sessions on me so you can, see what the experience is about, and we can kind of go through and assess your body and see what you need the most, and improve you from there. So I'm all about meeting you where you are physically. I'll never push you beyond, your comfort level or to the point of pain or whatnot. So yeah, first 30 minutes free, thelotusroomkc.com.
Which I can also say to this, I know that's how you build your business, but girl, you should be charging for the 30 minutes because you do a lot in that 30 minutes. Yeah,
Well,
it's a whole session, actual session.
a lot of people, they're like, well, what's assisted stretching? I could stretch at home. That's their initial thing, and I bring them in like, nah, you ain't had this. And I want to give you that taste. That's okay, because the energy I put out is coming back to me tenfold. So I want to give people that. I want you to make an informed decision. And I'm not here to sell nothing, because, again, I'll be taken care of. You see if it's valuable in your life, and we can go from there. But I'm not a salesperson. But I will show you what I do here in my studio. And hopefully, again, you see the value in it, and we can go from there. But yeah, some people just don't know what the process is, and I want to give them that.
Yeah, and you do give them that. I'm trying to tell you. But one more thing I will add before we go. One area that I felt challenged with, and if anybody else is also struggles with this particular thing, I'm a boss in my own life, and I'm used to having control. With Jessica, you got to be vulnerable and let her have control. And that was really difficult for me because she was saying to me, like, relax, let me do it. And I was like, no, I'm trying to do it. I'm sure I'm not the only one that struggles.
I tell people the hardest part about the entire thing is relaxing. A lot of people struggle with that letting go completely. That's scary, is it not? That's scary.
Yeah, and we talked about that, and that's why it's beautiful what you do. And I just want to give my kudos to you because it's really helping. You're
Yeah.
really helping the community, and like I said, in Black community specifically, highlighting wellness. There's there's never enough time to do more of that. We
Right.
we need we need Black wellness advocates out here to help with being proactive about your health instead of being reactive to
Right.
health.
Right. Proactive.
There's a lot of clinics, there's a lot of pill pushers. There's a lot of all of these things out here that want to help you when you are sick, but you have people like Jessica who are saying, "Let me help you before we get there." And stretching, whether you think or not, is actually helping you to keep your body optimal so that you won't get there.
Right. I mean,
So
the amount of people that deal with hip pain, knee pain, sciatica, plantar fasciitis, frozen shoulders, tight necks, like, it doesn't even have to get there. And if it's there, we can work to reverse it. Whereas the doctor, they're gonna let it get bad and then be like, "Hey, I'll cut you open and we'll do surgery," you know. And sometimes it gets to the point where you need that, but we want to avoid that.
yeah, and then here's a medicine that helps this, but then it causes this side effect, so then you need this medicine, and actually this has three side effects, so then here's this that's how they get you. But we out here, but listen, wellness people out here. All right. Well, I got to let you go, but this has been great. Thank you so much. Well, that's all for me this week. You know, I'm forever turned up that you choose to tune in to my show. It's incredibly helpful. If you feel so inclined, you can go to anywhere and leave a review. That would certainly be helpful. Special thanks to Jessica, who is willing to share her expertise on a public platform such as this. I'm forever humbled that she chose to spend time with me. And next week, I'm continuing my Business Queens of KC series with another business queen. Yes, yes. We're leaving the fitness business world and we're entering another sector of the health and wellness world. So, next week's business queen is Dr. Sewellen Johnson, founder and CEO of Lymph Wellness KC. I'm excited for you to hear from her because there is some things that we got to talk about. So you don't want to miss it. Until then, love and peace to all of you. Have the best week. Thank you for tuning in for a Monday Moment with Dr. Mal, now proudly a part of the Alive Podcast Network. You can find this show on the Live Podcast Network website and app, and you can find this podcast streaming across your favorite podcast streaming platforms. If you love to have the visual, you can tune into my YouTube channel, When Mallory Lives, to see this show and catch up on all my shows from the beginning.